I will be walking you through my closet revamp, rebuild, extension, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But essentially just like making over my closet, adding some new shelving, making it look a little nicer. And so I'm just going to be walking you through that. We are going to be using some power tools. We will be using IKEA, because who doesn't love IKEA? And some spray paint and some paint, and we are going to be having fun. Because I'm going to be honest, this video, filming this intro, is probably about 6 months since I actually finished the project, which is quite a long time, but that's kind of just how life has been. I haven't really been really consistent, but you know what? The big thing is that we are jumping into it today, and fingers crossed that the video editing is not going to take another 6 months. So the first step of my project was measuring my closet in order to get the sizes of the shelves. So I was adding one big shelf at the top because there was a ton of extra space, and then I put a shelf on kind of the half top, and as well as a shoe shelf on the bottom, which is a nice kind of fun surprise. So for my measurements, one thing I forgot to consider was that there's about an 1/8 of a difference that's added when using a table saw because of the blade. And that's one thing not the table saw, well, the circular saw. And that's one thing I forgot to consider, so my measurements were like a bit off. But other than that, when I was I picked up my wood from Home Depot, and then I measured it. When I was making the cuts, I didn't think it would fit on the table saw, so I used a circular saw and then just like flipped the boards around in order to make the different cuts. But looking back, it probably wasn't the best idea because it didn't make the smoothest of cuts. But I guess what could have worked is to use kind of like a handheld circular saw, and then create like a brace to make a line, or just find another way to like even out the cut, because the kind of jagged edges made it hard to insert the shelves later on. So that was another learning point. And then when I was making the cuts, I put tape around where I was cutting, because that kind of helps to prevent splitting and just make the edges nice and even and smooth when you cut. So that is a point to remember, is use tape when using a cut. And I also cut down my frames with that the shelves would be placed on. Was cut and painted, I then went to installing the shelves. Now, I had a very scientific and proper way to install my shelves. I used buckets. That's the secret to install the shelves, which kind of worked, kind of didn't. Another mistake on my measurements was that I really just have, disclaimer, I'm very poor at math. But it is a skill I am working on, and through DIY, it is helping me do my math a little bit better. So, you know what? It's a skill we can continue learning. Anyways, back to the shelves. So my measurement went wrong because where I measured and where I wanted the top of the shelf to go, where I wanted the bottom of the shelf to go is where I put the bottom of my bracket. So that meant that my shelf became about 2 inches higher than I originally wanted because the bottom of the bracket is where I wanted the top shelf to go and the bracket was 2 inches. So that was a bit of a miscalculation, which meant that especially on the top shelf, it was a lot higher than I initially planned, which kind of made it tricky getting some boxes in there. But I was able to find some from IKEA, but we will get into that later on. I then drilled some, there's a word for this, but I first just drilled some like holes into the wall so it'd be easier to like screw in. So I used a smaller drill bit size than my actual screw so that it could still put tension in there. And then I used a level to make sure everything was straight. And so I did that for all my 3 shelves. And then when it came to actually installing the shelves, this became a bit trickier because jumping back to when I cut on like a diagonal, the edges were completely straight, kind of had to like knock some of the edges in, you know, like give them a, but they went in. Some of them are like tight at the back, loose at the front because of that not straight edge, but it's fine. They all fit, they're all in, and nothing has fallen yet, which I can account to since it's been like 6 months since I finished this. So that's fine, it's all good, it worked. Next step was painting the shelves. So because I was just gonna repaint my whole closet, I just did a coat of paint on the new shelves so everything matched, and that worked really easy. It was really quick, really simple. I put a primer and then I put the top coat, which was just a white that I used throughout my closet. So that was super easy. Painting, I mean, it's painting, it's fun, it's easy, something to do. But yeah, that did good. That went well. And then I just painted my whole closet, painted the top, made sure I got that done, and all the kind of inside. I think I was watching a movie when I was painting, so tip, if you get bored painting, then put a movie on, listen to music, and just have fun with it. I oopsed yet again. So this weekend I was working on the closet and I was ready to just get it done and finished because it's been too long. So I started painting. I found the paint that I thought was the paint we used. I did a little color test and it seemed to look right. So I painted the shelves and the top, and then I stood back and I looked, and they're 2 different colors. So mistake number 2 in this closet reno, but you know what, you live and you learn. This is my first build, I guess, I don't know, redo. So gonna get started on painting again, and fingers crossed this is it, and then I can finally start using it again. Now comes styling and putting everything back in the closet, which was awesome because it took so long. So in order to kind of fill things up, I went to IKEA because good prices, great products. I mean, who doesn't love IKEA? Anyways, so I found 2 white boxes that would fit perfectly on the top, and they were thin enough that they could like slide up and get on with ease. I mean, it's a bit tricky because of my 2 inches difference, but I can make it work. They look good. And then the next shelf, the next item to buy was the baskets for the second shelf. So these had to be thin but still kind of fit nice in the space, and I wanted them to be a light color because my room has quite a few dark accents. So I had 3 different basket options that I chose from, and I ended up going with these like rattan kind of little oval containers. I have 3 of them. One is for my hair stuff, another is for makeup, and then other is just a miscellaneous box because who doesn't have a miscellaneous box? So it just kind of has a whole bunch of random stuff. Anyways, they look great. I love them. And then I had 2 kind of big square boxes that I got from IKEA previously. So I also wanted the lighter kind of containers to fit nicely with those big boxes. Those are also from IKEA. They fit perfectly in the space. I actually had them there before, but it was just kind of random because there was a whole bunch of like extra space on the top. So that works. And then bottom shelf with my shoes. I mean, I probably should have bought new shoes, you know, to style it with, but that's another time. Anyways, that actually would have been a good idea. I like shoes, so next time. Okay, anyways, okay, next step was the actual like closet rail. So it was a gray color, and after redoing my closet and kind of thinking of the color theme I wanted in my bedroom, I was like, nope, gray isn't gonna work. So I was like, okay, what can I do? I tried to find a black closet rod, but I could not find one. And if I found one, it was like $200. And I'm like, why is it so expensive? It's ridiculous. So I was like, you know what, let me try spray painting it. But I was a bit hesitant to spray paint it because I wasn't sure how durable the spray paint would be. But I was like, you know what, let me try it. And since it's been 6 months, I can tell you that it did not work. It was not very durable. It's already kind of like cutting and chipping. I mean, the black, it looks great, trust me, but the durability was not quite there. So I don't know if there's another way to like paint metal. If there is, let me know in the comments, because that would be something that would be good to know. Following along with me on my closet revamp makeover. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and just having the extra space, extra containers, it looks really good. I hope you were able to learn something. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and make sure you subscribe to my new channel.